can you tell me a little bit about the area that you cover?
Sure. Okay, I work in Pahrump, Nevada. Pahrump, Nevada is a small town. It's a bedroom community of Las Vegas. It's actually an unincorporated township in Nye County.
Mhm.
And I've lived here now for 20 years. Um, and we have about 35 or 37,000 people. I don't know. The new census is coming out this year, so we'll find out for sure. Um, it's a very large area. In fact, Nye County is the largest county area-wise in the country. This is what I've heard. The largest county with the smallest population,
Wow.
because Pahrump is basically the population center of, I think the entire county has 45,000 people, and we've got like 35,000 or 37,000 here in Pahrump. We're about 45 minutes northwest of Las Vegas. We're about 5 miles from the California border.
So how many other agents are you competing with in your area roughly?
Well, there's about 250 licensed agents, although, we've got, I don't know, probably 15,000 agents in Las Vegas, and a lot of them come out here and work with some of the people out here. But there's probably maybe 150 agents that are active and run their business. One of the things that I do not do is I don't work in Las Vegas at all. I work strictly in the Pahrump area, and the reason for doing that is because obviously it's a long drive. There's a lot of competition, but mainly because Las Vegas is outside my expertise. I don't know the area from a real estate standpoint. I mean, I can navigate my way around there. I go to Vegas twice a week.
Right.
I navigate my way around Las Vegas, but from a real estate standpoint, I don't really know it very well. So I stay kind of home in our little town.
When did you first start hearing about, us and our products?
I think I placed my first order probably about a year ago. So the main reason that I invested in the product is because it lended some credibility, actually a lot of credibility, to me and who I am and what I do. So that's the main reason that I did it, and it's helped. I mean, it's not my sole source. I mean, I could probably get some of this referral business without the books, but it really, it impresses people.
What particular books do you actually use?
Well, this is my business card book.
Mhm.
Okay. And then this is my buyer book.
Mhm.
And then I also got the FSBO book.
Okay, great.
Which is, I don't know how well you can see
Yeah,
with that bright
absolutely.
light. But anyway, there's my FSBO book.
Perfect. So,
And so I use those 3 books. I don't really get into the real specific, the divorce books and some of the others. Those 3 seem to do everything I need them to do.
right. So, and like you said, you're kind of more referral based. Is that correct? So those
Yeah, but even when I get a referral, I'll give them a book, and that still lends some, because just because I got a referral doesn't mean that their people are going to roll over and die.
Right.
They're still probably talking to other real estate agents.
Right. So tell me, how have you used the books? Like, what's your process using them?
What I've had the most results with, and in a small market, it's easy to do this, but in a large market, it's not necessarily very easy to do this because it's expensive. But I put a quarter-page ad in our local newspaper. We've got a local newspaper here that comes out on Wednesdays and Fridays. And so I put a good size ad. It cost me about $350. And I don't have a copy of the ad here, but it basically says, please don't list your home for sale. Oops. Please don't list your home for sale until you've read my book.
Mm-hmm.
And what I did was I set up a a voicemail. So I put a number on the ad so that people could call. And then I had a nice message. It's, hey, this is Mike. If you're calling about the free book, please leave me your name and your telephone number and the address of the property that you're thinking about selling. Actually selling, not buying or selling, because I basically only used the seller book. I used it to get listings. And then they call, leave their information. I call them back. I say, hey, would you like me to would you like to meet at my office so that you can pick up your book, or come to your house and I'll drop it off? And I've had about 50-50. And so, they come to my office, we talk a little bit, and I have to tell you that a lot of the people, I don't even think they've read the books. I mean, you could read it in an hour,
right?
But I don't think a lot of people have read them. But still, the fact that I hand them a book with me as the author and my profile, it lends credibility. I had one lady that says, well, I'm looking at 3 agents, but I really want to look at your book. And she came into my office, and then because she came in to get the book, we met, we talked, and she says, you know what? I don't need to talk to those other 2 people.
Wow.
She says, you're my guy. And from her, just from her listing, I sold her listing to another real estate agent who bought her house, but sold her listing, listed that store to her, sold it, got a referral from her. I've got a deal that's closing actually before the end of the month. It's been in escrow since May because there was a probate issue with it. But so just from that one contact, I sold 3 houses, and I've gotten 3 more referrals.
Wow, so that's pretty good.
The one contact. So it panned out. I'd say overall, I've probably sold in the last year probably a dozen properties because of the book.
Wow, that's excellent. That's really good to hear. We love hearing stories like that from our members. And, we'd like to share that kind of stuff with other people too that are just starting out, that might want to know how to how this works.
I just changed companies. I was with a local broker for the last 4+ years, and they didn't provide me with much of anything. No advertising, no training, not much in lead generation. So I just went to eXp Realty. I'm sure you're familiar with eXp.
Right.
They're now the 6th largest producer in the country. But I went to eXp, and I've been investigating eXp for quite a while, but never really made the jump. And somebody that I'm in the middle of a transaction with right now said, hey, I'm opening an eXp office here in Pahrump, and are you interested? And I said, yeah. She says, are you familiar with it? And I told her, yeah. And so on January 1st, I made the jump. I still have not been doing much other than getting myself set up. I had to buy new furniture, new office, new, pretty much new everything. So I haven't really done much in the month of January, unfortunately. But as soon as I get myself settled, then I'm going to run another ad, and I'm sure I'll get a bunch of calls.
That's awesome. What other than the lady that came in, do you have any other specific stories about what people said about your books, or any feedback from potential clients or people that turned into clients?
Well, again, when I've had a lot of people call me, and they're searching a realtor, and I go out there with my book, and I give them a copy of the book. And that same situation has happened 3 or 4 times, where I'll go out and I'll present the book, and they'll say, wow, this is amazing, and I'll get the listing. I've done the same thing with buyers. When a buyer comes in, most of the buyers, even though the market is changed in the last recent few years, most of the buyers are still uneducated about, especially if they're first-time buyers, about how to go and look for a house. The majority of the people have they look for properties before they even talk to a lender. And so, I'll grill them when I get a call. I'll grill them and ask them, have you talked to a lender? And I say, you know what? I have a book that'll give you a step-by-step instruction on how to make the selling procedure as simply and quickly as possible. And oh, would you like a book? Yeah, sure. So I'll either give them a book, or I'll mail them a book, and that kind of usually seals the deal with a buyer as well as a seller, because of the credibility aspect. So,
oh, absolutely. It's one of those things, like if I'm looking something up, no matter what it is, if I go online and I want the most, I want something that has the most information. If you as an agent are giving me that information, you're going to be who I pick.
Well, also on my Zillow profile, on my Realtor.com profile, on a lot of the advertising that I do, I mention the books. In fact, the whole year of 2018, I actually did. Again, we have a small town. We have a local television station, and so I did a segment on the news once a week, and the segment was called Pahrump Home Matters. And basically what I would do is I would either interview people in the real estate business, whether it's a lender, whether it's a title company, whether it's a home inspector, somebody. I would interview them and kind of ask them questions, and at the tag I would mention that I published a book, and if you're interested in either buying or selling a property, contact me, and I'd be happy to either mail you or meet with you to give you a free book. And again, it definitely helped, and it gave me a bunch of credibility. So that's another way that I was able to get them out. But generally, in the past, what I've been doing is it's just kind of an addition to what I already do. I haven't done other than the newspaper ad, I haven't done any extensive marketing campaign with the books, other than just placing a $300 ad in the newspaper. But again, having the books has given me a bunch of credibility. Right. And that's the biggest thing for me is, when you've got 150 agents to choose from that are active and successful, what makes me different than the rest of them. And so I think that is, as long as I can get in front of, I've been in sales for, 100 years, 62 years old. So I've been doing this since my early 20s. I've only been in the real estate business a little over 4 years, but, sales is sales. But once you get in front of the client, if you can convey that, whatever you do is in their best interest, then you're going to get the deal. So I would say that the books help me more than anything to get into a face-to-face situation with people where I can. Of course, I've mailed a lot of books out too, and I've got a client list that's a mile long. People I've mailed books to that somebody calls me and say, I'm interested in this house. And I said, well, what is your situation? They tell me what the situation is. Hey, I just composed not composed, but I just published a book on step-by-step instructions on how to buy a house. Would you like me to send you a book? Absolutely, that'd be great. And so I've got clients that I sent the book to a year ago. I'm still in contact with them. They're just not ready to make the move here. And so there's a bunch of them floating around that hopefully, those seeds will germinate pretty soon.
Right. So, and that's what we tell people with the book. That's so much, but that book is out there. It's, rather than a business card that, kind of gets lost. I can't tell you how many business cards run through my washing machine.
What's funny about that? I just moved from one office to another office, so everything was in boxes. I went through my business cards yesterday. I've got a stack of business cards that's about 6 inches high of all these different vendors and the real estate agents, and they're all just basically in a box. And one of these days I'll probably organize them. And so I know that if you give somebody a book, they'll put it on their shelf. And if they're not ready to do anything, and when the thought of either selling or buying a property comes up, they'll hopefully still have it on their shelf. So yeah, I hear you there.
Well, I really appreciate it. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Just last thing I really kind of have a question for you is, if somebody were, on a webinar like you were, and they were thinking about, signing up with us, what would be something that you would tell them?
Well, I think that what I would tell them is that the books actually add serious credibility to your business. And if the people are confirmed that confident that you're credible, then the chances are very good that they'll choose you. So, and I have to tell you, by reading the books, it reminds me of things that maybe I'd forgotten. The longer you're in business, the more, and it's that way in any business, but the longer you're there, you tend to corners and maybe not do things the way you used to do them. And if people have a dip in their business, it's sometimes due to the fact that they think they know everything. So they tend to cut corners and don't do things the way they used to. And the books keep me on track also, for my own, for my own knowledge. Of course, the training that we're required to take and things like that also do. But this is a handy reference for your own self. So
That's good.
But I think in my opinion, what the books do is give you credibility, which sets you apart from the other agents.